The clock was ticking, its relentless ticking echoing in the sterile silence of the death row. The execution was set for midnight, and the condemned man, Leo Hamilton, sat in his cell, shackled and silent. He had spent years awaiting this moment, the final act of justice for the brutal murder of his wife, Sarah. But as the hands of the clock inched closer to the execution time, a call came in that would change everything. A single piece of evidence discovered at the last possible moment would either save him or doom him forever. Leo Hamilton had always maintained his innocence. He had confessed to the crime, sure, but only after being coerced by a ruthless detective and a justice system desperate to close the case. He had been a grieving husband, standing in the wreckage of his life after Sarah was found murdered in their home. But what had really happened that night? He didn't know. He had been drugged, and the investigators had fed him lies, weaving a story that made him look like the perfect villain. It wasn't until months into his trial that Leo realized his confession was a trap. The prosecutor's office had been so sure of his guilt, they didn't even look for other suspects. The case was too clean, too convenient. A husband who had been in a fight with his wife the night of her death. A history of domestic disputes. A phone call where he admitted under duress to committing the crime. And yet, Leo hadn't done it. Now, after 7 long years, Leo's time was almost up. The gurney awaited him. His family had long abandoned him, convinced of his guilt. His lawyer, a last-minute hire, had failed to make any headway with the case, and no one seemed willing to challenge the evidence. Leo had come to terms with the fact that he was about to die for a crime he didn't commit. But then, as the prison guards prepared him for his final walk, the phone rang. It was a call from Detective Ella Davis, the detective who had once been so sure of Leo's guilt. She had been on the force for years, a dogged investigator who could always crack a case. Leo hated her at first for the way she'd broken him down, but her voice on the phone now didn't carry the same certainty. "Leo, I need you to listen carefully," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "There's something you need to know before they execute you." Leo's heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice trembling for the first time in years. "I've been going over your case again. Something wasn't right. There's new evidence. Something that could prove you didn't kill Sarah." The words hung in the air like a sick joke. He had been waiting for this moment for so long, but now that it was here, the disbelief almost crushed him. "You're saying you found something now?" Leo's voice was hoarse with emotion. "Yes," she replied. "It's not much, but it's enough. I believe the DNA on the murder weapon doesn't match yours. It matches someone else, someone who was never even considered a suspect." Leo felt a surge of hope, something he hadn't allowed himself to feel for years. "Who?" he asked, gripping the phone tighter. "That's the problem," she said, her voice lowering. "I don't know yet. The evidence just came through. But we've got a name now. And it's connected to someone close to you. Someone who could have framed you. You need to stall them, Leo. They're about to inject you with poison, but we can stop it. Just long enough to prove you're innocent." Leo couldn't breathe for a moment. He had never imagined this could happen. He had been ready to die, to accept his fate. But now he had a chance. "I'm not going to let them kill you without a fight," Detective Davis promised. "But you need to stall them. Keep them occupied just for a few minutes. I'll send in a lawyer to file for an emergency stay. We're going to get you out of this, Leo." The twist. Leo's heart pounded in his chest as the reality of what Davis was telling him sank in. The prison guards were already waiting outside his cell, preparing for the final walk. He could hear their footsteps growing louder, echoing in the hallway. He had minutes, maybe seconds, to act. Suddenly, the door swung open. The guard stood there, cold and impassive, ready to take him to his death. Leo's mind raced, the dread of the moment finally settling in. Could he really stall them? "Leo Hamilton, it's time," one of the guards said, his voice flat. Leo stood up, his knees shaking. "Wait," he said, his voice low but resolute. I need a moment. I have to speak to someone." The guard raised an eyebrow. "You're not getting any more time. This is it." But Leo didn't back down. He held out the phone. "You need to let me make one last call," he said. "Please, it's important." The guard exchanged a glance with his partner, but then relented, rolling his eyes. "Fine, you've got 1 minute." Leo grabbed the phone, dialing Detective Davis. "I'm stalling them. I'll do whatever it takes. But you need to move fast." The seconds seemed to stretch like hours. Just as he was about to hang up, a new voice came over the line. His lawyer. "Leo, we got the stay. They can't execute you tonight. We'll prove your innocence." Suddenly, the lights flickered in his cell. The guards began murmuring in confusion. The whole prison seemed to be in disarray. "What's going on?" Leo demanded. But before anyone could answer, another voice echoed through the intercom, sending chills down his spine. "It's over, Leo." It was the warden, and he wasn't talking to Leo. The voice crackled again. "There's a bigger conspiracy at play here. You were never supposed to survive this long. Get him out of there before the truth comes to light." The final suspense. Just as Leo was dragged out of the cell, a massive explosion echoed through the building. Chaos erupted. Smoke filled the halls. Leo's mind raced as he was shoved into a waiting van. Was this part of the plan? Who was trying to stop the truth from coming out? As the van sped away, Leo realized the real killers weren't the ones who had framed him. They were the ones who were willing to kill anyone who got too close to the truth. And someone, somewhere, was going to make sure he didn't live long enough to see justice. The fight for his life had just begun.